Welcome to Movers and Shakers on JTV. Earlier today, I caught up with Sir Mick Davis. Sir Mick served as the Chief Executive of Xstrata plc, an Anglo-Swiss multinational mining company until 2013 when it was taken over by Glencore. From there, he formed the mining venture X2 Resources. In a personal capacity, Sir Mick is chairman on the Board of Trustees of the Jewish Leadership Council in the UK, which acts as an umbrella body for the Jewish community. In the 2015 Queen's Honours List, Sir Mick was awarded a knighthood for his services to the Holocaust commemoration. One of your biggest successes to date was taking the mining company Xstrata plc and turning it from a market value of $500 million to $60 billion in 10 years. What was it that brought you into the mining industry in the first place?
I guess frustrated ambition. I was working. I trained as a chartered accountant and left my firm because they thought I was too young to be made a partner, and then joined the electricity utility in South Africa. And they, for whatever reasons, didn't want to make me the chief executive. So I sort of moved on to the world of mining. And then after we migrated the company that I was with, Billiton, as I said, which I was the chief financial officer, to London, we then merged it with BHP Billiton and created what was then and still is the largest mining company in the world. But I took the view at that time that I wanted to do something different. And that took me into Xstrata, which was, as you say, a very small company with a large amount of debt on its balance sheet, not dissimilar to the state of mining companies today, in fact. And so it was quite exciting building that up into the company it became.
And then in 2012, you announced a merger of equals with Glencore, a $90 billion merger. However, on reflection, it seems that merger didn't quite turn out how you might have anticipated. What are your thoughts on that?
The transaction happened, which was good, because the structure was that Glencore owned 35% of Xstrata, and when Glencore listed themselves, they essentially became not only Xstrata's largest shareholder, which they were already, but they became Xstrata's largest competitor because they then had a currency they could use to compete with Xstrata for opportunities in the market. So it just seemed to me that it was impossible for a listed Xstrata and a listed Glencore to coexist, and the two had to come together. So the fact that happened, that was good. The way the transaction actually then played out was not good. It was unfortunate because what was a friendly, constructive merger became hugely antagonistic, and that was quite an unpleasant period. At the end of the day, I'm pleased that the transaction happened, and I'm pleased that I've moved on to another phase of my life. So yeah.
And what's your relationship like with Ivan Glasenberg now, who is, for the viewers, the CEO of Glencore?
I would say my relationship is sort of neutral. These were business dealings. I didn't quite appreciate the way that Glencore behaved, but that's history. There's no animus. We just continue doing what we need to do.
And you've gone back into the same industry subsequently with X2 Resources, into the same mining industry, and as we know, the market has changed, and with the collapse in global commodity prices, do you think that you'll be able to replicate the success that you had with Xstrata, with X2 Resources?
Well, you're right. The market has fundamentally changed, and we have today a scenario in the industry where there is no conviction amongst investors, no conviction amongst boards of directors, and in fact very little conviction amongst management as well. So everything is a little bit in disarray, and it looks horrific, but in all these scenarios, and especially in cyclical industries, the cycles don't change, the laws of economics don't change, and when the supply side no longer delivers sufficient quantities of raw materials to the people who are demanding it, the price will respond to that. But it does give rise to an enormous amount of opportunities if you have the financial capacity to take those opportunities and hold them during very fallow periods of low prices. So I'm not sure that we can or should want to replicate Xstrata. Xstrata took place at the start of a very significant bull cycle, which we were fortunate enough to identify very early and therefore captured opportunities before other people thought about them. So I think it's different today. I think the sort of opportunities we must look for today are high quality assets which cannot be held by the existing owners because of their financial circumstances. And if you can get hold of those assets and hold them for a period of time and improve the quality of those cash flows, when the market turns, I think you can make a lot of money for your investors.
That's great. And now if we switch to your Jewish identity, to what extent has your Judaism played a part in your business life to date?
Well, I guess it's the whole question of, this hackneyed term values, which is sort of overplayed both in religion and in business. But, there is a sense of values which comes out of Jewish learning and Jewish teaching, which I think is sort of embedded in me, as I'm sure is embedded in many Jews, which inform the way that we structured Xstrata and the way that we wanted to run Xstrata, in terms of that we treated people with care, that we accepted responsibility for what we did, that we were innovative and daring in terms of the things that we wanted to do, and that we were determined to be good corporate citizens in the societies that we operated in. So I think that's sort of the whole backdrop of the way that Jews think of themselves in the construct of a society, and the moral fabric of a society sort of played its way into the way that we sort of ran Xstrata.
And I understand that you set up the board, the Jewish Leadership Council with Gerald Ronkton amongst others.
No, that's not quite correct. They set it up. I was a Johnny-come-lately, but I've been intimately involved in it for quite a few years.
So for what reason did you feel it was necessary for this JLC, which acts as an umbrella body for the Jewish community? Why did you feel this was necessary to be set up?
I think for that reason, because it acts as a coordinating umbrella body, which while individual organizations carry out their remits, and what they do is absolutely obviously critically important, and they, so Jewish Care in the London region looks after welfare, and we have Norwood, who looks after people with disabilities, and we have UJ, which looks after support of Israel and Zionist education, etc. All these organizations do their remit and do it well, but none of them can be involved in the strategic positioning of the community going forward. And I think the important thing for the JLC is to understand what the strategic imperatives and challenges and opportunities for the community are, and try and make sure that we have resources positioned and a plan put in place which can address those challenges. And that's the primary role of the JLC. And the other role of the JLC is to pick up activities which need to be done for the community, but are not being done by any other organization. And a great example of that is the Partnership for Jewish Schools. We've had this incredible growth in the numbers of Jewish kids who go to Jewish day schools, and that's fantastic. But there was no organization which was providing the coherency of quality teacher education, the curriculum content, providing enabling infrastructure for the schools to operate within the regulatory framework of the UK effectively. And so, together with the support of the schools, we set up the Partnership for Jewish Schools. And had the JLC not been there, that initiative wouldn't have taken place. And that's important. The other thing is, for instance, if you look at leadership development and training in the community, again, it was the JLC that stepped in and said we need a capacity to train future leaders and established lead. And where we've seen gaps, we've initiated enterprises which other people then taken on. For instance, we had a commission into women in leadership. Why do we not have enough women in leadership positions in the community? So we had a commission. That commission made certain recommendations. It was supported by the JLC during its work, and now those recommendations are being played out. We've just completed a commission in the provision of informal education for young people. And there is now another organization which has been set up as a result of that, which is coordinating the activities of all youth providers. And so the JLC is there to identify, as I said, the strategic needs, and to put resources in place where those strategic needs can be met in an effective way.
You must find it difficult to balance. I mean, you have so much going on, the JLC, X2 resources, and of course family life. How do you balance the three?
Me personally, badly. And we can all say good things about that. You do need to achieve an effective life balance. It's not easy to do, and I think that my family have definitely suffered at times when I've been very immersed in my work and in my community involvement. But they continue to be and have been very supportive. It's a very tough thing to do, and most of us get it horribly wrong, and at times we pay the consequences for it. And I think one just has to constantly bear in mind the most important thing in your life actually is your roots and your family, your contribution to your community, and then the way that you make your living. And if you can get those sort of stacked in the right order, you can do well. But I must be honest with you, I don't do it too well most of the time.
Well, that leads on nicely to my final question. For aspiring businessmen, women starting out in their careers now, what is, good advice for them? What should they take on board?
I think, well, two things probably that I should say. I think the one thing, it's really important that you build your personal asset. So I don't think that people should chase after high-paying jobs or what they think is huge wealth-creating opportunities. They should rather look at what can they get into which actually will prepare themselves for better things and greater things as they move on in their lives. So to find a work environment which is going to give them massive amount of experience, relevant experience, because in that way they build their capacity and they become more and more valuable, not only to themselves but to other people to employ. And I think that's really important. So as you start out in life, start thinking about taking on challenges and opportunities which build your personal asset. That's more important than anything else. Wealth and income, that will come automatically, but you have to build that capacity. And the second thing is that you have to develop a massive amount of self-belief and confidence in your own judgments. And if you can have that set of self-belief and confidence, you can make sort of great strides, because that means that you'll then take the risks necessary for everybody who wants to be a great success in life. Take those risks and move with them. The caveat to that is if you make mistakes, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, but make sure you don't make the same mistake again.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Pleasure.